Mm-hmm.
So I think I had your camera on and.
Yep.
Recording in progress.
All right. I think we're waiting. Our clerk is making some arrangements to get some supplies for the jurors. So if we'll give her a moment to get back in. Who is your next witness?
Trooper Chris Judd.
All right. Let's have him come in. Let's go ahead and bring the jury in now that we have a.
I just saw who announced his retirement.
There's a bunch of them. Tom Wright from East Tennessee is retiring. He applied for the Court of Appeals and didn't get it.
He's gonna be a simple judge.
That's what, he'll do a good job. Right?
He said, we've not had a senior judge based in the East since Blackwood.
He's younger than I am. A lot of people are younger than I am.
I can remember we worked at the Federal Public Defenders in Chattanooga.
Tom's a good, are you talking about Judge Poole or Judge Tom? Tom Wright's a good man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being back with us. We are ready to call your next witness. You may call your next witness.
Trooper Chris Judd.
All right.
Stand here and face the clerk, please, for him.
Do you solemnly swear from testimony given this case be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
If you would, state your name for the court, please.
Trooper Chris Judd,
How do you spell your last name?
J-U-D-D.
Trooper, how long have you been with...
Just a little bit, Trooper, if you would move just slightly, there you go,
Yes.
just a little bit more so that
Yes, Your Honor.
microphone picks up. So.
Trooper, how long have you been with the Tennessee Highway Patrol?
Approximately 6 years.
Were you in law enforcement prior to that?
No, sir.
Where are you currently assigned?
I'm assigned to the 9th District in Nashville to the Executive Protection Unit
And how long have you been with the Executive Protection Unit?
since last November
Where were you before that?
at Bedford County.
And were you there from the time you got out of academy to...
Yes, sir, I was.
Very good. Now, so you were with Bedford County in that unit in May of 2018.
Yes, sir.
If you would, tell the jury about how your assignments changed a little bit around the time of May
Yes, sir.
30th, 2018.
I was on the strike team, which we get called up to natural disasters. The strike team gets together, they activate us, and we go respond as a strike team to assist in situations like that.
And were you assigned to come to Dixon County on May 30th?
Yes, I was.
How long were you in Dixon County?
I believe that was day 2.
It was your second day?
Yes, sir.
So I guess right now we're talking about June 1st, 2018 was your second day here?
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay, so you came up, so then did you come up here on May 31st of 2018?
Yes, sir.
All right, and so what was your assignment when you got to Dixon County?
Myself and the other trooper I was assigned with, our assignment as a team was to patrol the areas, certain roadways, and just patrol those roadways. Our particular assignment, myself and the other trooper, was Stinson Road area.
And did you patrol those areas on the 31st and June 1st?
Yes, sir, we did.
What time did you start your patrol on June 1st of 2018?
Approximately 7 a.m.
Did you, in other troopers have a briefing before each time you went out on patrol?
Yes, sir.
During that briefing, were you made aware of who you were looking for?
Yes, sir, we were.
And how were you made aware? What information were you given?
The name and picture IDs.
Just, was it a headshot?
Yes, sir. A couple of different photos of the individual that we were searching for and the name and the areas that they suspected him to be in.
What time did you start patrolling on June 1st of 2018?
It was approximately 7 a.m.
May I approach the witness, Your
You
Honor?
may.
Trooper, if you would, could you identify what's in that photograph?
It overhead map picture of Stinson Road with the red marker notating the arrest location.
So that morning, is that the same picture that's up on the screen?
Yes, sir, it is.
That morning, how long had you been out on patrol?
Not long. That was our first trip down the road that morning.
And so, I guess what direction were you headed at that time?
We were coming from Tidwell Road. We had just started on Stinson Road, heading, I believe that's south.
Okay.
Yes.
And were you in front or behind of the two cars?
I was in the front. I was the lead
Now,
vehicle.
okay. So as you're traveling down Stinson Road, what's the road like? What's the area like?
It's a gravelly dirt road. From what I remember, everything was real grown up. It was green, hard to see very far away from the road. The few spots of open fields and stuff of that nature. There's a lot of green, a lot of woods, a lot of vegetation.
And so as you were traveling down Stinson Road, were you always in sight of the other trooper that you were traveling with?
We tried to stay that way, yes, sir.
Were you able to stay that way the entire time?
No, sir.
And if you could, describe for the jury why that was not able to happen.
Okay, we always tried to stay in sight of each other. At the particular location where this happened, we were going across the creek. I continued to go across the creek, and we weren't traveling more than 10 miles per hour, maybe 12, 15 at the most, because we were just scanning the area. And as I went around the curves, I kept an eye on my rear view to keep an eye on the other trooper that was behind me. As I got around a couple of curves, I noticed that he wasn't behind me, so I stopped my vehicle approximately 30, 45 seconds, tried to wait for him to catch up, and when I didn't see him, that's when I put the car in reverse and started coming back around the curves to see why he wasn't behind me.
Did you ever come to a point where you then saw him?
Yes, sir.
Approach the witness, Your Honor.
You may.
Now, if you would, Trooper, do you recognize that photograph?
Yes, sir, I do.
And is that the same photograph that's on here?
It is.
Now, if you would, describe for the jury what we're looking at and what was going on when, as the still photo was taken.
Okay, that's my vehicle with the door open across the creek. This is the concrete slab where the water comes across to the creek. So at this point, I'm not sure when this was taken. I'm assuming this is his video camera, dash cam. So at this point, that's where I stopped my car when I backed up. And I saw in my rearview mirror two individuals on the ground. That's when I got out of my car and I walked on foot across this concrete slab.
All right. And Your Honor, while I'm thinking of it, the first photograph, if you'll hand that to the clerk, and Your Honor, yes, that be made, that map be made the next exhibit.
122.
All right.
And if you would hand that photograph there to the clerk for exhibit 123. Now, Trooper, as you got out of your vehicle and started walking across the creek, you said that you saw two individuals.
Yes, sir.
And I think you said that they were on the ground. Were both individuals on the ground or one?
Well, I say on the ground as out of the vehicle. I saw two individuals out of the vehicle, and in this remote area, that was very strange because there shouldn't be anybody that was on foot anywhere. So that's what I meant by that.
And so describe for the jury what you saw as you crossed the creek.
Okay, well, I noticed the other trooper and another individual on their knees with their hands on top of their head.
And then what happened next?
Okay, so as I walk across, I'm starting to see what's happening now. The other trooper has this individual at gunpoint. As I walk across the creek and get closer, I observe that the individual that's on their knees, that has their hand on his head, that looks like the individual that we're after, that we're searching for. So,
At any point were you able to make a positive identification of that individual?
yes, sir.
And how did you make that identification?
I asked the individual for his name, and he stated Stephen Wiggins. I also, as part of our briefing, we were given pictures of the individual and known body marks, such as the tattoo on the right arm. I believe it was of a pit bull and a Confederate flag on his right arm. So I pulled up his right sleeve, and I did observe that same tattoo that was seen in the pictures they showed us.
Could you describe, I guess, Mr. Wiggins' appearance as far as his clothes and what he looked like at that point?
Yes, sir. He was very wet. The clothes were disheveled and very dirty, very wet, as he had been outside for a period of time. I do remember that his hands were very, very wrinkly, like he'd been in the bathtub for a long period of time. That's what his hands looked like, but very severe.
What did you do at that point?
At that point, we handcuffed the individual, and we took him into custody.
Now, did you conduct a cursory search of that area?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about that search and what you were able to find.
Okay, as we were apprehending the subject, I did observe a backpack off the side of the roadway in the ditch, and all the grass had been laid down where it looked like he'd been sitting for a period of time. There was a backpack in that area. I do remember asking the subject, is that your backpack, or something to that effect. The response I believe I received was, what backpack, which indicated to me maybe that wasn't his backpack, or he didn't know what I was talking about. So at that point, after we got the subject in custody, I opened the backpack and did a quick, just to verify what was inside of it. I did find his state-issued identification, Stephen Wiggins, with his picture, name, address on the identification card, and 2 firearms and some loaded magazines.
Did you do any real detailed search of that backpack?
No, sir.
Trooper, do you recognize what that is a photograph of?
Yes.
If you could describe for the jury what you're looking at and what's on the screen.
It appears to be the location just right off the side of the roadway where all the vegetation is mashed down, where the subject was, I guess, where he was sitting and where the backpack was found.
Thank you. Last of that, you made the next exhibit.
124.
Now, Trooper, as you passed the location where Mr. Wiggins was ultimately found, had you passed that location already that morning?
Not that morning, no, sir.
Okay, and so this was your first time through the area?
It was.
Thank you. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Evans?
Good afternoon, Trooper Judd.
Good
How are you
afternoon.
today?
I'm good, thank you.
Wonderful. So I just want to kind of go over a few things that you discussed with the state. So that morning you were driving down, is it Stinson?
Yes, sir.
Is it
Stinson Road. Yes, sir.
And when you came up on this area, you said you put your car in reverse, is that right? You stopped, put your car in reverse because you saw something in your rearview mirror?
No, sir, because I did not see my partner in the mirror. That's why I stopped and came back around the curve, because I could not, I didn't see him. I didn't know where he was, and we'd always stayed together the whole time, so.
And who was that?
Trooper Kevin Birch, a former trooper,
And the picture that was displayed showed I guess, the dash cam from his car viewing your car?
That's what it appears to be.
Okay. And it looked like the door was open, so you had gotten out of your car at
Yes,
that
sir.
time? And the purpose of that was to try to figure out where your partner was, I would assume?
Well, I could see him at that point,
Okay.
so I got out and I saw what I was appearing to see was him with somebody on their knees at gunpoint. That's when I got out of my car and I walked to him.
All right. And so you could see that when you looked in from your car, you could see your partner and someone on their knees?
Yes, sir.
Correct. From what you understand it, your partner came across Mr. Wiggins because he was sitting just right on the side of the road. Is that correct? And where that grass was trampled down?
Yes, sir.
I mean, really in plain view, if you drive down that road where you would see him, correct?
The vegetation was real thick and high, so, and I do remember specifically, I was looking to my left because that was really the only open area that I could observe anything. So that's why I was looking left when I passed that location.
But, I mean, your partner obviously saw him driving
Sure.
past, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he saw him from the vantage point, I would assume, of his car, or he wouldn't have
Yes, sir.
stopped otherwise.
Yes, sir.
Correct. And taking Mr. Wiggins into custody, even before you got there, he went into your custody without incident, correct?
Yes, sir.
No resistance whatsoever, correct?
No, sir. Not from my point of view. From the time that I started interacting, that I laid eyes on them, there was no, he was cooperative.
And even when you asked him his name, he gave you the name Stephen Wiggins, is
Yes,
that
sir.
correct? And if I understood you correctly, the backpack was in the spot where he was sitting in the vegetation, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And there was 2 firearms in that backpack, correct?
Yes, sir.
One moment, Your Honor. That's all I have.
Redirect.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Trooper. You may step down and you may be released.
Thank you, Your Honor.
State may call your next witness.
State calls Tiffany Gooch.
Good afternoon, ma'am. If you'll step right up and let the clerk place you under oath.
Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give in this case be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Will you state your full name, please?
Tiffany, Tiffany, Gooch, Gooch.
Thank you. And where are you employed?
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
Thank you. What's your position with the TBI?
I work in the Criminal Investigation Division
And how long have you been employed with the TBI?
since 2016.
And on May the 30th of 2018, and for the next couple of days, were you assigned to work in Dixon County?
Yes.
In which case were you assigned to?
I was assigned to work the Sergeant Daniel Baker case.
Okay, thank you. And I want to specifically address today with you any part of the investigation you had after the defendant was in custody, okay?
Okay.
Were you responsible for searching the content of his backpack upon
Yes.
arrest? You were? And can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury where you conducted that search?
We conducted that search in the back of the hospital, so we had a command post back there, so that's where the search took place.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm going to stand next to her with your permission to go through these photos. And Agent Gooch, can you identify this, please?
Yes, that is Mr. Wiggins' backpack.
And again, you've already testified that this search of this backpack is being conducted at the command post behind the hospital.
Correct.
Move that as the next exhibit,
125.
125. And if you would, just hand that to the clerk. And Agent, can you identify this photograph?
Yes, that is also Mr. Wiggins' backpack with the handgun.
Okay. Move that as exhibit 126. And identify this photograph, please.
This is a handgun and this is a 357.
Okay. And Agent, before we move that, can you identify the brand and make and model of that weapon, please?
This is the Glock 33,
Glock 33, in which caliber?
357.
357. Move that as Exhibit 127.
Yes, sir.
Can you identify this photograph?
Yes, this is also a handgun. And this is the Glock.
Okay. And Agent, from this photograph, are you able to see the serial number?
Yes.
And can you read that for us, please?
TRG 605.
I'll move that as Exhibit 128. Please identify this photograph.
It's another handgun.
And is this the Glock 357?
Yes.
And what is, it's now in two pieces, is that correct?
Yes.
And can you identify the top and bottom items?
The top half is the handgun and the bottom half is the magazine for that handgun.
And is the magazine loaded?
Yes.
Move that as Exhibit 129. And Agent, can you identify this photograph, please?
And this is the same handgun.
And what have you done here?
We basically put this handgun into lockback, just a matter so we know that it is not, so it can no longer be fired.
Okay. And please describe what lockback is to the jury.
So basically, we will place a handgun, we'll unload it and place it in lockback, just to make sure it's no longer loaded.
And does a weapon such as this go into lockback if it's fired and runs through all the ammunition?
Yes.
Okay, so you can either place it in that position manually, or it will do so itself upon running through all the ammunition in the magazine?
Yes.
And was there, when you unloaded this particular weapon, was there one round in the chamber?
Yes.
All right. Move that as Exhibit 130. Can you identify this photograph, please?
And this is a bullet.
And on this bullet, can you identify the caliber?
This is a 357.
Move that as Exhibit 1. Agent, please identify this photograph.
This is Mr. Wiggins' backpack.
And can you see anything of any significance in this photograph?
Yes, there's also ammunition in the bottom of the backpack, so it's going to be the gray content that you see at the bottom.
Just loose ammunition?
Yes.
Move that as Exhibit 132. And can you identify this photograph?
This is the loose ammunition that was inside of that backpack.
I'll move that as Exhibit 133. And please identify this photograph.
These are bullets.
And can you tell from this photograph what caliber bullet that is?
These are 45s.
45. I'll move that as Exhibit 134. Please identify this photograph.
This is Mr. Wiggins' backpack with his ID in the front and more contents in the bottom of the backpack.
And did you retrieve his identification card from that backpack?
Yes.
And we see a second weapon, is that correct?
Yes.
Move that as Exhibit 135. And please identify this photograph.
This is also Mr. Wiggins' backpack with his ID and a handgun in the bottom, also with more loose ammunition.
Move that as Exhibit 136. Please identify this photograph.
This is Mr. Wiggins' identification.
And from this particular photo, can you see the expiration date of his photo identification?
Oh, 2021.
So at the time of his arrest, this was still a good, valid identification card?
Yes.
That was in his possession?
Yes.
I'll move that as Exhibit 137. Please identify this.
This is another black handgun.
And what type of handgun is this?
This will be the 45.
45 caliber?
Yes.
Move that as Exhibit 138. Please identify this photograph.
This is another photo of the handgun of the 45.
And from this photograph, Agent, can you tell us the make and model, please?
This is a high-point firearm.
Okay. Is this a 45 caliber?
Yes, sir.
And is this a semi-automatic?
Yes, sir.
Move that as Exhibit 139. Please identify this photograph.
This is the magazine from the 45 caliber handgun.
And again, the magazine is is that what holds the ammunition?
Correct.
And is it a loaded magazine?
Yes.
Move that as Exhibit 140. And please identify this photograph.
This is gonna be the serial number from the 45 handgun.
The High Point 45?
Yes.
And can you read that serial number, please?
4308934.
Thank you. Move that as Exhibit 140 or 141?
141.
141. And Agent, can you identify this photograph?
Yes, this is the 45 High Point with the ammunition, the magazine.
Thank you. And Agent, from this photograph, it appears that you have extracted one round from the chamber, is that correct?
Correct.
So this weapon was loaded?
Correct.
And you retrieved it? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Move that as Exhibit 142. And Agent, please identify this photograph.
This is Mr. Wiggins' backpack with more loose ammunition, a knife, and a lighter.
Thank you. I'll move that as Exhibit 143. Can you identify this photograph?
Yes, this is Mr. Wiggins' wallet.
Wallet?
Yes.
Is that a photo ID of Mr. Wiggins?
Yes.
I'll move that as Exhibit 144. And please identify this photograph.
This is loose ammunition, a lighter, some clothing, and his wallet, Mr. Wiggins' wallet at the top left. And this is Sergeant Daniel Baker's knife.
I'll move that as Exhibit 144.
145.
145, thank you. And Agent, can you identify this photograph? Is that handy too?
Yes. One round of ammunition and Sergeant Daniel Baker's knife.
And Agent, please describe what we read on the knife, the T leads. Do you know what that stands for?
That is the Tennessee Leads. It's kind of an association for Tennessee. Is dealing with law enforcement.
Okay, and this was Sergeant Baker's knife?
Yes.
Move that as Exhibit 146. And please identify this photograph.
This is a car key.
And what are the serial numbers or the consecutive numbers there?
6306.
And do you know what this car key went to?
Yes, this went to Sergeant Daniel Baker's patrol unit.
Move that as Exhibit 147. Can you identify this photograph?
This is an ammunition box.
Move that as Exhibit 148. And again, all of these items are content from the defendant's backpack.
Yes.
Please identify this photograph.
This is a bullet.
Okay. And from that photo, can you identify the caliber bullet?
This is a 9mm.
9mm.
Yes.
I will move that as Exhibit 149. And please identify this photograph.
This is a magazine with more loose ammunition.
Okay. And do you know what caliber ammunition is in this magazine? And you may not be able to tell from this photo.
I can't tell from this one.
Move that as Exhibit 150. And this is, what photograph is this?
This is another magazine, and this is the 9mm magazine.
Is this a close-up of the previous photograph?
Yes.
I think the previous was Exhibit 150, so this is a close-up. Is that correct, Agent?
Yes.
And what caliber ammunition?
9mm.
In a loaded magazine?
Yes.
Move that as Exhibit 151. And please identify this photograph.
It's the same prior magazine, the 9mm with the loose ammunition.
Move that as Exhibit 152. And please identify this photograph.
These are Sergeant Daniel Baker's car keys.
Okay. I'll move that as Exhibit 153, and Mr. Etheridge, don't move on quite yet. So, Agent, we've previously introduced a single key that was located in the backpack, is that correct?
Correct.
Which went to the Patrol Unit 500, is that correct?
Yes.
Is this the second key to Patrol Unit 500?
Yes.
That's attached to this key ring?
Yes.
And what exhibit number was that?
153.
Thank you. So, and I've been referring to Exhibit 153. And, we also see some type of card and additional keys attached to this key ring.
Yes.
And can you identify this photograph?
This is a close-up photo of Sergeant Daniel Baker's keys.
And that's upside down, but can you read the plastic card?
The Dixon Athletic Club.
All right. And I will ask you to attempt to read the last three numbers that you can see in the top left key. It's upside
Oh,
down.
306.
306. And those would match the last three numbers in the single key photo that's previously been moved.
Yes.
I'll move that as Exhibit 155.
4.
4, thank you. And this is a close-up of a similar photo, is that correct?
Yes.
And what are the full 4 digits on this key?
6306.
I'll move that as Exhibit 155. And please identify this photograph.
This is Mr. Wiggins' social security card.
Okay. And for the record, please read his social security number.
410-517621.
Move that as the next exhibit.
156.
And please identify this photograph.
These are multiple cards that we found inside of the backpack that belong to Mr. Wiggins.
And do all of those cards have Mr. Wiggins' name on them?
Yes.
Move that as Exhibit 157. If I can have them so. Agent, 2 more photos to show you. Before I do, just to be clear, within this backpack, you're going through individually and documenting these items, is that correct?
Yes.
And inside the backpack, what 2 forms of identification did you find?
We found Mr. Wiggins' identification as far as his ID and his social security card.
Okay, thank you. And Agent Gooch, did you also take photographs of the clothing that the defendant was wearing at the time he was arrested?
Yes.
All right. And can you identify this photograph?
Yes, this is Mr. Wiggins' blue jeans that he was wearing.
Move that as the next exhibit.
158.
And last photograph, please identify this.
This is Mr. Wiggins' shirt that he was wearing.
All right. Move that as exhibit 159. Agent Gooch, I'm now going to approach and ask you to identify some of these items that you collected that we can move into evidence.
Yes.
And if you would, before you open, I'm going to hand you a pair of scissors. And can you identify this box?
Yes, this is a gun box that we use to collect handguns.
And if you'd like to put on a pair of gloves, you're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
And can you read the identification markings on the exterior of this box?
Yes, so this date, it says date collected 6/1/2018, time collected 8/18, and it's the High Point, serial number 4308934-X, model JHP, and this is a .45 caliber with the magazine.
Thank you. Would you open the box for us, please?
Yes.
And Agent, can you make sure that the firearm is in a safe and clear position?
Yes.
Chamber is empty?
Yes.
Agent, I think I note that there is a zip tie running through the chamber, is that correct?
Correct.
Does that prevent a firearm from discharging?
Yes,
And there's no ammunition in the weapon?
correct.
And could you display the weapon for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury? And again, what is the make and model of this weapon?
This is a High Point .45 caliber.
Thank you. And is there also a magazine in the box?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll move that as the next exhibit.
160.
And Agent, we're not going to open any more of the items. I just want to have you identify them and we'll move them in as evidence. Okay?
This is 9 live rounds of the 357 with the mag that came with the Glock.
Move that as Exhibit 161. Agent, please identify this.
These are 47 live rounds of the .45 caliber.
45 caliber ammunition,
Yes, from the high point.
47 live rounds.
Yes.
Move that as Exhibit 162. Please identify this.
This is 9 .45 caliber live rounds from the high point.
Move that as Exhibit 163.
These are the assorted cards from the black backpack. These will be Mr. Wiggins assorted cards and a fingernail clipping or clipper.
Move that as Exhibit 164.
This is one set of keys, the Ford 6306 with the Dixon Athletic Club.
Thank you. Move that as Exhibit 165.
This is 2 Glock magazines and 34 live 9mm rounds.
Move that as Exhibit 166.
This is 50 total live 9mm rounds.
Move that as Exhibit 167.
This is Mr. Wiggins' camo wallet with content and his lighter.
Move that as Exhibit 168.
This is 1 silver key, and the number on the silver key is 6306.
Move that as Exhibit 169.
This is 1 driver's license, and the number will be 10007270, 1 dime, a silver pipe, and a clear baggie.
Move that as Exhibit 170.
This will be 1 bad blood knife, so this will be Sergeant Daniel Baker's knife.
Move that as Exhibit 171.
This is 1 empty ammo box.
Move that as Exhibit 172.
And this is the 1 black backpack.
Move that as Exhibit 173. And Agent, that's the black backpack that we've been seeing you remove the contents from?
Yes.
Thank you for your testimony. I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Evans, any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Agent
Good
Gooch.
afternoon.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well. My name's Luke Evans. I'm just going to be asking you a few questions this afternoon, okay? So, sounds like you went through the backpack pretty thoroughly.
Yes.
And there's no question from your review of the backpack that there were 2 firearms in that backpack, correct?
Correct.
One was the .357 Glock,
Yes.
the other being the High Point .45.
Yes.
High Point .45 was, had a full magazine in one in the chamber when you found it, didn't it?
Yes.
And the same for the .357?
Yes.
You also went through the wallet of Mr. Wiggins, is that correct? I
Yes.
believe that was Exhibit 168, if the clerk could retrieve that for me, please.
What number?
168.
Okay, one moment. Log that one in. This one.
That's what was previously been marked, Exhibit 168, is it not?
Yes,
And that is what you identified as the wallet of Mr. Wiggins
yes,
that you went through at the time you went through the backpack?
yes,
And when you went through it, I think you identified a couple of items that were in the wallet, correct?
yes.
If you wouldn't mind, can you open that evidence bag for me?
Yes. Thank you.
Pocket knife be better than a scissors.
They would.
I know Your Honor is dying to get the knife out again. It might be better. Could you, may I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Would you mind opening up that wallet for me? And could you, is there a picture holder in there with several sleeves in it?
Yes,
Could you go to the first one, identify what that is, and hold it up for the jury?
this picture.
Yes, what does that appear to be?
It appears to be a little boy.
A little boy. Okay. And, Your Honor, I'd like to publish that picture for the jury to see. We could allow that to.
She may, it is evidence, so therefore if the witness would like to go before the jury and let her just demonstrate it, that would be the safest way. Thank you, Agent.
Thank you, Ms. Gooch. So, and were you aware that that's a picture of Mr. Wiggins' little boy Spencer?
I was not.
Can you look on the back in that photo, or is there any writing or markings on the back?
No, there might have been writing, but there's no longer any writing.
And if you can put that back in the wallet, can you go through and, is there anything else in those picture holders?
Yes, there's one other picture, but you can't really see on it who it is.
And does that appear to be the picture of a baby?
It's hard for me to tell.
Okay. And could you publish that for the jury as well?
Yes.
And, Your Honor, with the court's permission, can the jurors move around the jury box if they can't get a good glimpse of the picture so they can actually view it?
I can see it however is comfortable with them.
And were you informed at some time while you were doing the review of this backpack that the backpack and its contents had been submerged in water at some point, or was the backpack wet when you went
Yes.
through it? And that includes the wallet as well, correct?
Yes.
And likely why some of those pictures are in the state that they're in. Fair enough?
Yes.
And now there was one other item in there. I think that was the state issue ID that you mentioned earlier, Mr. Wiggins.
Yes.
And you don't have to retrieve that.
Okay.
Your Honor, those are my questions.
Redirect?
No.
Thank you, Agent. You may sit down and you are released. You're able to do it. Yes, I will. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, just so you understand what's going, this is nothing secretive, major secrets or anything. The next witness is going to take quite a while, we think, maybe an hour or so. And we had a repairman that was going to try to repair some of the locks, or a lock here on the courtroom doors. Was it the back doors or one of these doors? All right. So one of our doors is needing to be repaired, and they were supposed to be here for your afternoon break, which we thought might be 2:30. Well, it is 2:30, and they're not here, or at least we haven't found them. But if we don't want to start this witness and then have to break in the middle of it, so we're trying to determine where the location of that repair person. If you'll bear with me for just a moment, we'll try to get that answer, and then we'll act accordingly. If you were on television and this was a jury trial, we'd go to a commercial break, but I don't have a commercial to give you, so I apologize for keeping you. So, if you would like to stand for any length of time, if you want to stand up for a few minutes while we're waiting on this, feel free to do that. If you want to go across to the jury room and you take a restroom break, go ahead and do that. That might be an appropriate way. Let me just say one thing. This is a deadly serious case. It's very serious. And in no way, shape, or form do I mean to in any way demean the seriousness of it for the defendant or for the victim's family in this case. When I try to say something that sometimes my mother used to say, when are you ever going to grow up? But under the circumstances, if I'm trying to say something, it's to help you understand that life goes on and we're trying to accommodate you and your needs. So please don't mistake if I make some sort of a poor joke, the fact that we take it very seriously. All right. Officer Helen, anything?
I've located him in the building, so we can go ahead and take
All right, well, let's go ahead and take our break then, and that way we can get that fixed. All right. We'll stand at recess for however long it takes to repair this door lock.